All right. Thank you guys so much. My name is Trenton Howard, and I'm the Human Resources Manager, and we're going to be covering lockout tagout. So this is another OSHA training that we'll be covering today. There is a slides that I used from looks like the OSHA Training Institute from Southwest Education Center. Has a lot of helpful, insightful information what lockout tagout is, as well as kind of understanding the importance of it. So let's begin. So this will cover servicing and maintenance of machines and equipment in which unexpected energization or startup or release of stored energy could cause injury to employees. It also can be construction, agricultural, maritime, employment, electrical utilities, electrical equipment, oil and gas, drilling and servicing. So why should we use lockout tagout? So it protects maintenance personnel from power being reapplied by mistake. It's also recommended by API RP 54 for electrical systems and drilling and servicing operations. It's also a recognized hazard as well. So for service and maintenance, the employee is required to remove or bypass a guard or safety device. Employee required to place part of the body into an area that would be a danger zone during machine operation cycle. So exceptions, so minor adjustments in servicing activities during normal production if routine, if it's repetitive and integral to production, provided that alternative measures provided effective protection. Does not apply to cord and plug connected equipment, for which exposure to hazard is controlled by unplugging and plug under exclusive control of an employee performing services or maintenance. And we'll get a little bit more into the examples per se, but just basically plugging in, or plugging out, or unplugging and plugging back in is not going to really apply to this. It does not apply to hot tap operations in transmission and distribution operations. In pressurized pipelines, provided that continuity of service is essential, shutdown of system is impractical, and documented procedures and special equipment provide proven effective protection for employees. Establish a program and utilize procedures for affixing appropriate lockout devices or tagout devices to energy isolating devices, and then preventing unexpected energization, startup, or release of stored energy in order to prevent injury to employees. Which is why we're doing this training, because training and procedural requirements for other selections for lockout tagout requirements. So here are some of the definitions. So job requires employee to operate or use a machine or equipment on which servicing or maintenance is being performed under lockout or tagout, or work in an area in which such servicing or maintenance is being performed. So locks out or tags out machines or equipment in order to perform servicing or maintenance on that machine or equipment. Affected employee whose duties include servicing or maintenance under this section. So energized, so connected to an energy source or containing residual or stored energy. And an energy isolating device, which is a mechanical device that physically prevents the transmission or release or energy. So circuit breakers included, not push buttons, not selector switches, not control circuits. So, and then there's also energy source. So source of energy could be electrical, mechanical, hydraulic, pneumatic, chemical, thermal, or other energy. So the lockout piece, that means the placement of a lockout device on an energy isolating device in accordance with an established procedure, ensuring that energy isolating device and equipment being controlled cannot be operated until lockout device is removed. So you'll notice on this picture that there is a little lock right here, if you can see my little mouse, and then also a little danger slip, which we'll get into a little bit later, which would be the tagout. So lockout device, so device that uses positive means such as a lock, either a key or combination type to hold an energy isolating device in the safe position and prevent the energizing of a machine or equipment. And then also blank flanges and bolted slip blinds included. So servicing and or maintenance. So workplace activities such as constructing, installing, setting up, adjusting, inspecting, modifying, and maintaining and or servicing machines or equipment. So the tagout is a placement of tagout device on an energy isolating device in accordance with an established procedure to indicate that energy isolating device and equipment being controlled may not be operated until tagout device is removed. So anybody can just slap on a lock of any sort, but a lot of people won't know what that means, right? So if you have some, let's say, rebellious staff that it's like, hey, you know, I like cutting into locks. I'm not sure why they locked it, but I kind of want to see what's going on. In addition to that, for that safety protocol, you'll have a tag out. So as you can see here, there'll be a danger, it says do not operate, and then signed by, and then date. So that way they understand it's current, and this is no joking matter, that please stay away. So general requirements. There's energy control procedures. We do trainings obviously here as well for the new employee trainings. And then any employee who services, maintains any equipment where unexpected energizing or stored energy release could cause injury, isolates and renders it inoperative first. So just making sure that, you know, obviously, like for example, you're trying to do some electrical work at the house. First thing you want to do is turn off the energy. So that's kind of what it's saying, is isolating, and then also make sure that it's inoperative before you even use it. So this generally applies to the maintenance department, but for the sole purpose for you guys that are not in the maintenance department, just understand that the lockout tagout means do not touch and to stay away. Very simple. If an energy isolating device is capable of being locked out, an employer's energy control program shall utilize lockout unless the employer can demonstrate that the utilization of a tagout system will provide full employee protection. Also, energy isolating devices designed to accept lockout devices whenever replacement or major repair, renovation, or modification of equipment is performed, or new machines or equipment are installed. You know, we do have some older devices here on campus. We just replaced our AC units, so involving electrical equipment. Also, we check our water heaters as well. So whenever we do any types of services, third-party vendors, or even our maintenance team, we will properly have the lockout tagout. So now hopefully you understand like what that looks like, and to take the right precautions when around those areas. So when tagout device used on energy isolation, capable of being locked out, so same location as potential lockout device, it also may require additional safety elements. So energy control procedures shall be developed, documented, and utilized for the control of potentially hazardous energy when employees are engaged in the activities covered by this section. So outline scope, purpose, authorization, rules, techniques for control of hazardous energy, including specific intended use of the procedure, specific steps for shutting down, isolating, blocking, and securing equipment, specific steps for placement, removal, transfer of lockout, tagout devices and responsibility for them, specific requirements for testing equipment to verify effectiveness of lockout devices, tagout devices, and other energy control measures. So protective materials and hardware, so locks, tags, chains, wedges, key blocks, adapter pins, self-locking fasteners, or other hardware shall be provided by the employer for isolating, securing, or blocking equipment from energy sources. The lockout and tagout devices must be singularly identified, the only device used for controlling energy and not used for other purposes, and shall meet the following requirements. So capable of withstanding an environment for maximum time period. So if it's outside, it needs to be able to literally weather the storm. Moisture or corrosive must not make the tag deteriorate. And it's also standardized, so make sure it's the proper color. Usually it's going to be red. Shape, size, print, format, make sure it's legible. That it does capture the people's attention in the way that it provides safety. Lookout devices, substantial enough to prevent removal without excessive force or unusual techniques, such as bolt cutters. Tagout devices, make sure it's substantial enough to prevent inadvertent or accidental removal. Non-reusable attachment means so attachable by hand, self-lockable, at least equivalent to nylon cable tie. So something very durable. So lockout and tagout devices indicate identity of employee applying devices. So periodic inspection, energy control procedure inspected at least annually. So by authorized employees not using the procedure being inspected. We also have fire marshals that come out here as well, and other people that test like backflow, water flow, make sure that all of our equipment, electrical equipment, our plumbing, everything is up to date. We'll correct any deviations. We'll review employee responsibilities with each authorized employee, so lockout, and then each affected or authorized employee for the tagout. Training communication, so we're going to ensure that employees understand the purpose and function of energy control program, ensure employees acquire skills required for safe application, usage, removal of energy controls, which we train our technicians when they are handling these types of procedures. So employee training requirements to authorize employees to recognition of hazardous energy sources, you'll be able to understand the type and amount of energy in the workplace, and then methods and means for energy isolation. The affected employee will understand the purpose and the use of this lockout tagout procedure, and then other employees in the area will understand the procedure and prohibition of restarting. So train on limitations of tags. So warning devices do not provide physical restraint that a lock would. A tag not to be removed without owner's authorization. So again, don't touch the tags at all. Just ignore them and walk away. It has to be legible, understandable to work. Must withstand environmental conditions, as well as attach securely. Avoid accidental removal. So for retraining purposes, for all authorized or affected employees, when the job assignment changes, equipment or processes present new hazards, energy control procedures changes. If anything pertinent really comes up, we have weekly PQI meetings every Thursday that the maintenance manager will attend to. So if there's any updates for any lockout tagout procedures, to make sure that we provide extra precaution, he will address that accordingly, so that way the managers can talk to the employees that are working with the staff or with the clients. So energy isolation, only the authorized employees performing the service and or maintenance may apply the lockout tagout. And then for notification of employees, affected employees must be notified by the employer or authorized employee of application and removal of lockout tagout devices before controls are applied and then after controls are removed. So application of control, preparation for shutdown, equipment shutdown orderly, equipment isolation, lockout tagout device application, stored energy relieved, continue when accumulating, then verification of isolation. So release from lockout tagout. Before a lockout tagout device is removed and energy is restored, ensure that the machine or equipment, you inspect the area, remove non-essential items, ensure equipment components are intact, ensure all employees are safe or removed from the situation, and then before restart, notify all affected employees of removal. So that's really important, because lockout tagout, especially for electrical, if you see a lockout tagout, there's someone working on the other end, right? So if you accidentally turn it on and disregard the lockout tagout, you potentially could kill somebody on the other side or significantly hurt them. So that's why it's very important to understand the importance of lockout tagout. Make sure that if you're not one of those authorized individuals that are working on the equipment, you should just disregard it and ignore and walk away from the situation to safety. Each lockout tagout device removed by employee who applied the device, if not available, removed under employer direction. Specific procedures and training from energy control program must be in use. Verify that applying employee is not at facility. Make all reasonable efforts to contact and notify, and ensure authorized employees know of removal before resuming work at the facility. And then Testing or positioning, so temporary removal of lockout tagout devices for testing positioning. Make sure that you clear the tools and materials, remove employees from equipment area, remove the lockout tagout devices, energize and test or position, and then de-energize systems and reapply energy control measures to continue servicing. So contractors and other outside personnel, like I mentioned before, so on-site employers and outside employers inform each other of the lockout tagout procedures. On-site employer complies with outside employer's energy control program. Procedure must provide protection equivalent to personal lockout tagout device. Primary responsibility is vested in an authorized employee for a set number of employees working under the protection of a group lockout or tagout device. When more than one crew, craft, department, etc. is involved, a designated authorized employee takes lockout tagout control responsibility, coordinates affected workforces, and ensures continuity of protection. Each authorized employee affixes personal lockout tagout device to group lockout device when beginning work, and then each removes personal device when stopping work on this equipment. Shift or personnel changes, so specific procedures and energy control plan ensure continuity of lockout tagout protection, orderly transfer of lockout tagout device protection between shifts, and then minimize exposure to hazards from unexpected energization or release. And that concludes the lockout tagout. If you guys have any questions for me, you can reach out via email, thoward@stmaryshomeforboys.org. You can also reach me via my direct contact phone, which is 503-259-3103. Thank you so much for attending.